guys, this is Coach Allie. Welcome to episode 166 of the Powerhouse Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about planning the perfect pageant platform. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Powerhouse Podcast, hosted by sisters, former Miss Nebraskas and a Miss Nebraska USA, and expert coaches Allie Swanson Mancuso and Megan Swanson Rhodes. Every Tuesday, we bring you a life-changing, challenging, and activating episode to help high-achieving women win their pageants, massively transform their mindsets, and dominate all aspects of life, including elements both inside and what most consider traditionally as areas outside of pageantry. Allie and Megan coach high-achieving women in all 50 states and beyond, and live to see women conquer their dreams. If you're not already part of our Powerhouse Club, join the fastest growing group of winning pageant queens on the planet, linked in the show notes every single week. Now, let's get on to this week's episode.
Hi guys, this is Coach Allie here. I'm super excited to talk to you today about this topic regarding the perfect pageant platform. This is episode 166 of the Powerhouse Podcast. And if you have not been following us lately, we have been dropping some amazing episodes on pageant platform, paperwork, and just various topics. So make sure you go back in our arsenal and listen to a lot of the series we've been doing lately and a lot of the other topics too, if you want more information. But without further ado, let's dive in to talking a little bit more about your pageant platform. Now, this podcast today is going to be a little bit more fundamental than some of our other ones. We try and tailor our podcasts somewhat to beginners, somewhat to intermediate, and then somewhat to those of you who've been doing pageants for a long time to really give you those polishing tips to really help you. Maybe you've been making top 5 for a long time and you want to win this time, and really those polishing things because you know a lot about pageants. So this specific podcast is going to be for those of you who are either revamping your pageant platform, you have no idea how to create a pageant platform, or maybe you are tweaking it a little bit. I'm going to give you some really important questions to ask yourself to make sure that your platform has meat behind it. And what I mean by that is it can withstand these hard judges questions. It has an elevator pitch attached to it, and it really makes sense for who you are as a person. So I want to start by saying that your pageant platform can 100% change. We have lots of clients, and there's lots of examples in the pageant community of somebody having a platform when they were a teen and changing when they are a miss because they have experienced different life things. They have different stories. They have friends who have experienced different things too that might affect what causes they give to. Their beliefs might have tweaked a little bit, and that's totally fine. Even if you think back to who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for some of my older listeners here, maybe you're in your early 20s, your early 30s, 40s, you're competing for a Mrs. Pageant, what have you. Your life is totally different 5 years ago, 10 years ago than who you are listening to this now. And even if you re-listen to this podcast in a year, your life would probably be different in some capacity. So my first point is that it's really okay to change your platform and tweak if you still have the bones of what I'm talking about here. So how do you create a pageant platform? If you were like, Allie, I don't even know where to begin. Maybe I'm trying my first pageant, or maybe you're trying a new pageant and you feel like the former pageants that you've been a part of, you didn't really have to have a platform, but you have experienced and witnessed girls who do have a platform and a cause that they do better in pageants, which newsflash, they do. It's always better to have an advocacy or some partnership or something that you are really driving attention towards, something that you are having impact in your community on, and really it's how you are serving others outside of yourself. That's the question here. So a couple things that I want you to reflect on as, again, we're trying to shape that perfect pageant platform. Who are you? What are you passionate about? How are you going to impact others or your community? And what I mean by that is it could impact you, or it could have impacted you in your own personal story, but how is it impacting others? How is it impacting your local community, big community, maybe city, statewide, region of the United States, or wherever you're listening from, and then world? I think those are really good questions to ask yourself, because if this issue is really important to you and only you, and other people don't really care about it because it's not really relevant, or they just don't understand because they haven't experienced it, maybe we have to take a step back and take a broader approach on the platform selection, because if it's too hyper specific, not to negate anything that's happened to you or any way that you are passionate about or the reason behind why you're passionate about it, but maybe if we take a step back, there are global or national statistics, and the overarching issue is something that more people can connect with and or donate or will donate towards. So you don't want to pigeonhole yourself too much into something too small or too regional that doesn't really relate to a lot of other Americans, or again, whatever country you're listening from. And vice versa. You don't want to have something that is only global that you cannot do regionally or locally. That is too big of a fish. And sometimes people can't digest what you're actually talking about because they don't know how to give locally. And in a nutshell, people love to donate to local causes and get involved locally. And you're more likely to have people be active in your platform, which we get into on lots of other podcasts on Powerhouse, but you're more likely to have people be active in your cause if you yourself are active in the community and it makes sense to others. So if I have something that's too broad and I'm like, oh, donate to this, somebody who's living in X city or X state, they're like, that's not really a problem here. So why does that affect me? So think about somebody on the receiving end of your messaging, both locally and globally. And if it applies to both, or you can spin it to both, then it's probably a good platform. Now, there's always going to be exceptions for that, as I'm saying that, because if you're super passionate about something, let's just say like beach cleanup or something that is more coastal. I'm not saying you can't have that platform, but maybe you have something to pivot back on if you were to win the national title and you're traveling to Midwest states that don't have beaches and don't have that same problem. You can still talk about the environment, which again is a greater issue that does affect the whole world, or something like that can really tie in the messaging to different demographics, different age groups, etc. So another question is, how does this relate to your organization or pageant that you're a part of? So again, what's the goal here? We're competing for a pageant. We're not just volunteering to volunteer, although you should, because that's like a pillar of humankind. You should 100% do that. But how does your platform tie in or fold in with the pageant's messaging, their branding, what they want in a state or national title holder, depending on what you are going for? And that's a really, really important question, because you need to do your homework on who the organization is, what they're promoting, what their brand stands for, what they want in a title holder. And if I can be your coach for a hot minute, if you have a platform that doesn't really fit into that branding or who they want, it's going to be a tough sell from a judge's standpoint, because when the board or whoever is training these judges to ask you questions, there's going to be a conflict of interest and a butting head, so to speak, if you haven't thought through how that fits in. It would be just like a business. If I'm going to hire a new person in marketing or HR or sales, right? I have a creed, so to speak, or a list of attributes, qualifications, skills, background, experience, things that I want that person to have. It's the exact same thing in a pageant when you're walking into an interview or when I'm asking you about your platform. I want to know if that fits in with the messaging that I know that my organization is, or business in this example. And a pageant is the exact same way. So if you're thinking about your platform in that context, again, who are you? Basically, how does this relate to you? If you're sharing somebody else's story, then it needs to be able to relate to you somehow. It can't just be like, well, this is my friend Sharon's story, blah, 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 blah. And it's relevant because it happened to her. As a non-party or third party that's not you or Sharon in this example, I don't care about that story. Like, it might be moving. I'm like, oh, I feel bad for her, but is it going to cause me to donate? Is it going to cause me to pull at my heartstrings and want to sign up for your next event? Is it going to want me to support you or make me want to support you? No, because you're not selling it and you're not connecting it to you or the relevancy of what we're talking about. What are you passionate about? How will you impact others in your community? Again, you, others, community, world. And how does this relate to your organization or pageant that you are a part of? So if you're starting from scratch, okay, I want you to first think of this question. What are you already doing that is impacting others around you in a good way? Hopefully not in a bad way, because that should not be your platform, but in a good way. What are you already doing that is impacting other people? Are you already serving at your local food bank? Do you volunteer with your church? Are you working with youth in different capacities? Do you coach for fitness training or for a sport? Are you a teacher? What's your career path right now? And are you impacting lives of individuals or families or communities? A lot of times when we're creating a platform, we jump to too big too quickly. And what I mean by that is we almost disregard what we're already doing and feel like we need to add something big to our life and just snap our fingers and magically be passionate about it. I'm not saying every cause in the world doesn't have merit to somebody, because it does. But if you are going to share your own heart as to why you selected this platform, why you're passionate about it, and what are the tangible impacts that you're going to have on your community, your world around you, then it needs to make sense. It needs to be something that you want to do, it pulls at your heartstrings, that you wake out of bed and you're like, I cannot wait to impact the world in this area or create change in this way. And when you're asking those questions, hopefully you're having those light bulb moments where you're like, wow, I actually am already doing this. And I guess I didn't really realize that could work for a platform. Maybe you start with, I like helping people gain more confidence in themselves, or I want to create strong women leaders. Like, there was a mentor in my life that really poured into me. And now that's a part of my story, maybe I can promote mentorship. Great. Let's find an organization attached to that and let's roll with that. Maybe you're a lawyer and that's your bread and butter. And you're like, yeah, I help X community, or I help this thing in the sphere of being a lawyer. Let's roll with that and see what your gift mix is and create a pageant platform out of that. It doesn't have to be something like, oh, I'm going to now, choose people who are suffering from homelessness, or the military, if I don't have anybody in my family that's the military, or the Red Cross, blood donation, like whatever it is. You don't have to choose something that is a big issue just because, even if you're not, or just because you're not passionate about it. I don't want you to do that. Think more about what you're already doing and what you're a part of and the impact you're having, and taking baby steps through these key questions will help you arrive at that perfect pageant platform. And I want to say perfect is going to be subjective to everybody. When you're starting out, you're going to feel like something is a really, really good idea. But I want to encourage you to get with a pageant coach, or DM me and Megan on Instagram or our Powerhouse Pageantry account. Get someone who you know and love and trust and talk through these things, because a lot of times what makes sense to you is just from a passion standpoint. But then the next step is, can you communicate that to others? So from there, once you found out what pulls at your heartstrings, where does that passion come from? What are you already doing where you're having that impact in community, which is that second point today? A couple other questions there to help you brain map that. What charities are you donating to on a regular basis? Why do you choose to do that? Like, do you put your money towards something that you care about? And maybe that could be your platform. What schools, clubs, nonprofits, military organizations, first responders, or careers are you currently a part of that could be your platform? Again, work smarter, not harder. Think about what you're already doing. And for the small population of people listening to this, that you're like, I'm not really that interesting. I don't really serve a lot. I don't really volunteer. I am not really doing anything. Then try something. Volunteer at your local food bank. Go to the Boys and Girls Club and work with kids. Read a book to elementary schoolers. Like, try things so you discover what you're passionate about, what you like and what you don't like. And through that, you will discover a passion that lights a fire under you and says, wow, like, I didn't know this was a thing. And now I'm really, really passionate about it. And also think about too, what hardships have you gone through in your own life? Maybe growing up in your adolescent years, maybe as an adult, or someone close to you, like a close family member or a close friend has gone through, that has really shaped your worldview, or caused your heart to soften towards a specific issue. Those are really powerful questions. Again, if you're like not knowing at all where to start on your platform. And so that's point two. Then from there, it's communicating it. The third thing of creating a perfect pageant platform is being able to create an elevator speech. What I mean by that is something that's under 30 seconds. And again, as an outside person, if I asked you, hey, Allie, what's your platform? You should be able to go, oh, my platform is da 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 da, and it impacts da 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 da. And what I want to see is blah, 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 blah. right? It's something that you can just rattle off very easily. It's not something that on the spot you have to magically think about, why am I impacting this? Or what should I name it? Or all of these things. That's part of creating your platform. It's, what cause am I advocating towards? What thing, what way am I impacting the community? But then how do I also talk about it? And writing down on a Google document, on a journal, whatever method you care about, or whatever method works best for you, writing down verbiage that's about 30 seconds is just really, really helpful if you're a professional, if you're working in this space, if you're a pageant woman, whatever, because you're going to get that question all the time. You're going to get it from a judge in your interview, maybe on stage question, when you're doing an appearance. And it's really important to work through that so you have the verbiage top of mind. And every time you speak that out, you're probably going to tweak it little by little because you have ideas of how to make that better. When you're having a conversation with someone, you're going to know instantly, wow, that sucked. I did not know that I could word vomit so hard, even though I thought I had it memorized. When I was put on the spot, like for whatever reason, I couldn't verbalize my platform. Every time you do that, you get better and you get better and you start tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it until it is so natural, not for the sake of just, I have this paragraph memorized in my head and I'm going to sound like a robot. No, that's not what I'm saying. But writing it out and doing the exercise of creating an elevator pitch, so to speak, that's just what I'm calling it. Different pageant systems call it different things, but creating that is so helpful because it brings the ideas to fruition in a practical concept that you can utilize in different contexts and settings. And it's really, really good pageant prep too, because again, you're going to get asked about that in your interview, unless you have really bad judges or your on-stage question. Or maybe you have a phase of competition where you have to say something for 30 seconds, like an intro or a pitch if you're in Miss America. And it's really, really good to verbalize that and get comfortable talking about it. So I really hope that was beneficial for you guys today. I'm trying to keep this really short because this is a basics training. We have lots of other podcasts on the expounding, so to speak, of your podcast, how to get partnerships, how to make money with your platform, etc. And so if those topics interest you, make sure you look at some of our other podcast titles and give them a listen. As always, let us know in the comments here if you're watching on YouTube or if you are just listening on podcast. DM us on Instagram if there's any specific topic that you guys want us to talk about, either me or Megan. We love hearing feedback from you guys. And I know this is a really busy season for a lot of people. We're about to head into the holidays. Woohoo! But we want these podcasts to be super relevant to you guys. We try and keep it real 100% on this podcast all the time. So if you have any ideas or you have key people that you want us to interview on here, let us know. I'd love to hook that up and interview those people. So I hope you found this beneficial. Again, my name is Coach Allie. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.
Hey guys, Coach Megan here, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Powerhouse Podcast. We're so honored to have you wherever you are, near or far away from the great metropolis of Omaha, Nebraska, where we are from. We are so proud to be your virtual coaches. If you could just share this with a friend that you feel like needs to hear this today, give us a 5-star review if you haven't already, and click that link below in our show notes. We promise we are the nicest people, and we'd love to meet you, and we'd love to figure out if you're a good fit for our programs, or make a suggestion for a different coach, different consultant, different person that's a professional in their field that can help you. We're not territorial about needing to coach every person in the world. We just want you to find your right fit so that you can make your dreams come true and unlock the winner within you. Anyways, just wanted to encourage you guys in that today. Again, leave us a review, DM us on Instagram at any of our handles, and with that, we'll see you guys next week.